एंड ऐसा नहीं कि मैं दूध का दूल्हा तो हूँ नहीं मैं.
So see, be careful. Your parents might watch this
Yes,
episode.
because now it's all.
Okay, they know it well.
So they know I'm not.
Completely so sharif as people thought you
Yes,
were.
yes.
जो शक्ल से मैं दिखता हूँ कभी like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely no.
अरे
Sometimes it's as simple as that, but things heal with time, not just communication. Living in India full time is a lot different than the India that I get to see when I go back for vacation for 2 months. Dealing with police officers, dealing with government officials, they treat you differently. They see you differently if you can speak Marathi. He crashed the aircraft into mountains. He locked his captain out of the cockpit.
Sure.
Interviews, the airline even charges you for that in India these days.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You charge for your own interview.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So you've got to have connections, right? If you have somebody in your family who's a pilot, then it is 75% of your job work is done.
Everyone, today we have Sahil Kazi, all the way from India, Navi Mumbai, here to discuss about student life and sports and everything. And let's get through the intro.
Hey, welcome to the BeeFy Talks, and stay tuned for podcasts and more.
Okay, that was good, I think. After that, yeah. So Kazi bhai, क्या हाल चाल है?
साहिल भाई, please.
Okay, fine. साहिल भाई, क्या हाल चाल है?
खैर है, मतलब अभी
So you're in Qatar right
आखिरी
now?
दिन है
Okay, so
Qatar
yeah,
में.
so you were here for the vacation.
फिलहाल के लिए जी,
अच्छा, so
फैमिली
you,
से मिलने आया था.
so you keep coming here for 6 months.
Yes, actually I have to, so my visa doesn't run out.
अच्छा,
But also I have to because my family lives here, so and
You
they
went
can't
to-
visit India that often.
अच्छा. So how is it being? You studied 12 years here, I think, in Birla. You're
Yes,
right.
I did.
And after that, you went to India to study. Because why was it so that you went to India to study, not here in Qatar?
It was expensive.
One thing, okay, to
And-
save the expenses.
Yes, and because the particular field that I chose
Mhm.
is even more expensive.
Correct. Yeah, I heard
So-
it's a very expensive. You have to
Yeah,
throw a
I
lot
was
of money.
quoted about $140,000 US. So it's
So
a big
US
sum.
dollars.
Yes,
I see.
so it is a big deal, that amount of money. So I thought, let's take a chance with India. Let's do a ground training over there, and then for flying we'll see.
So you're planning
is-
to fly Indigo or
I
what's your
haven't
plan?
gotten there yet. Again, it depends on what aircraft I get type rated on.
So you're planning to work through Indian Airways or
I
not?
have to
Qatar?
actually strictly as a
Student.
Yeah.
Acha.
So if you want to get into the industry in India,
Mhm.
you have to join an Indian airline.
Okay, so
And then once you gather that amount of experience, and a foreign airline might approach you.
okay, for that. So you're the eldest sibling, I think.
Yes.
One, okay.
Comes with a lot of responsibility and expectation.
Do you think so?
Yes. No, a lot of it is unwanted expectation too. So
In Qatar, I think there's less of burden on the elder sibling because parents take it a lot, on themselves in Qatar. I have seen that. But in India, if you're an elder brother, you have to look after everything. That's what I have noticed personally. Do you think so?
good point actually.
Yeah, you didn't think.
Now that you mention it,
Yeah.
I have to concede yes. Growing up here in Qatar, a lot of things are given to you on a silver platter, and just you
Exactly.
don't have to work for it.
Parents hustle a lot more here than the teenagers and youth. I have seen that.
Because life is comparatively so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but second thing, so I don't think there's much of responsibility actually being a big sibling, but you also get a thought here and there. I mean, frequently that I have to be a good brother, elder
Yes,
brother.
that depends on your conscience actually, which didn't arise in me till I was about 12-13. कि
Yeah,
भाई
sure.
बड़ा भाई है और दो छोटे लोग हैं, कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा.
वरना जब तक अय्याशी थोड़ा मस्ती.
हाँ, पर to set an example, you have to behave a certain way, and then that means that every step of the way when you're around your brothers, you're conscious of what you're doing. कि नहीं,
अच्छा.
this guy will replicate my behavior.
Oh, okay.
And then कल को मेरे पे बात आएगी कि मैंने ऐसे किया था करके. So again, that is a thing. But if you ask me, I've learned more about responsibility in 1.5 year in India than I did in the past few years in Qatar.
I'm coming
Because
to that.
again, it was easy.
But yeah, going to India, didn't your parents think, "Yari, India जाएगा, बिगड़ जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा," and all? Because you have those conceptions. And it's not easy to leave your child abroad. So how was that journey?
Right. And कि दैट वाज अ थिंग एंड ऐसा नहीं कि मैं दूध का दूल्हा तो हूँ नहीं मैं एंड the thing is you have two sides to your personality, one which strictly remains at home, one which strictly remains with your friends outside. That was always the case with me because
So, see, be careful. Your parents might watch this
yes,
episode.
because now it's all
Okay, they know it well.
so they know I'm not
Completely so sharif as people thought you
yes
were.
yes
जो शक्ल से मैं दिखता हूँ कभी like
yeah
that.
absolutely no.
अरे,
If
why are you being so confident about it? कुछ ऐसा घटा था क्या कि people were like यार तू बहुत शाना दिखता है. You heard it 1,000 times. You're like नहीं मैं नहीं हूँ शाना. मैं दिखता हूँ नहीं.
नहीं है मैं देख शरीफ तो था
ठीक है.
एक एज तक फिर बड़ा होता है इंसान टीन एज में आता है दोस्ती यारी में
चीजें हो
you
जाती
grow
है.
up basically.
You mature up. You
Yes.
see things and you explore things, experiment with things.
Correct. And that all happened while I was in Qatar. But it didn't reach home. It never reached home कि मैं स्कूल में ये कांड करके आया बाहर
अच्छा.
किसी को ये हुआ कुछ भी हुआ घर पे कभी जाने नहीं दिया मैंने क्योंकि
अच्छा.
again there was you had an image to maintain.
Mhm.
But
Let me adjust the mic.
sure, yeah. But yeah, it's different. At some point they're going to find out about things
Yeah.
and again it's disappointing in a way.
अच्छा, so they started finding out things from India when you were.
Yes, from India, from here.
So अच्छा तुम वैसे शांत रहते नहीं हो. You try to have fun.
No, in a way it's also relief that they don't have unwanted expectations anymore कि
Okay. I see. I see.
unwanted expectation being
वो आ जाती बिल्डअप हो जाती कि भाई बड़ा बेटा है कुछ ना कुछ करेगा या अच्छा.
कुछ
He
ना कुछ
had
करेगा
been.
कि नहीं
Mhm.
that is always there and I will always yearn to fulfill that but there's another thing कि बड़ा बेटा है करके कुछ भी नहीं करेगा मतलब
कुछ गलत कर ही नहीं
हाँ.
सकता. हमने इसको अच्छे से पाल के बड़ा
he
किया
can do
है.
no wrong.
Yes.
So that is an expectation I think that has to go away at some point.
So you.
Maybe it has gone away. And it's difficult to deal with that.
That's amazing, man. Yeah,
And
that's
now
a
I have
great
that
thought.
acceptance.
No, I never thought about this because yeah, there is expectation on the first child,
Mhm.
which at times you have to break if you want to live with freedom. Otherwise, that gets built, and the more later it gets, the more it's hard to break, and that will be more heartbreaking for the parents that they expected this much, and then suddenly one day they realize, oh, it's not the way we thought it would be.
Yes, and that is heartbreaking.
Oh, that's amazing, man. So how
You're
did
the
you?
eldest sibling.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. That's why I can.
So then we can relate on that.
100%. That's not relating. And oh, so how did you get through the process? Or it took a long time, and they were
It's
sad about it.
communication actually.
Yeah.
So it gets worse if you just don't speak about it to your parents. If
Yes.
you admit okay, there I was wrong and I had a lapse of judgment, they come through and they say, okay, we trust you again. Sometimes it's as simple as that, but things heal with time, not just communication.
That's an amazing point. Okay. So
yeah.
you took time and like you gave them time to think.
And all of this, yeah, starts to come out as you're in your 10th, 11th, 12th. They start to know about things. Again,
You know, I think this is also the first time for parents to have a teenager, right? You get me? You're the first teenager too. You were the first
Correct.
child.
Correct.
That was the first experiment. Second experiment was that you're the first teenager. And teenage is the age where usually everyone has all kind of notions, thoughts, and blabber to do about, judgments to also play about. I believe teenage is a very important stage. Of course, it is. It defines a lot of things. It changes a lot of things. But I believe कि if people see teenage as a good thing, I think थोड़ा उसके बारे में क्या बोलते हैं जो negative biases है वो थोड़े कम होंगे. If people see कि भाई teenage is a youth, he has people बहुत सारी चीजें people use it just negatively. Youth के वास्ते what I believe is they have energy, they have mind and ideas. Only thing they lack is the direction, and that is where it comes by mentorships. They need to find the good mentors, and the good mentorship and leaders should find good teenagers and youth to whom they lead, because leaders need people to lead.
Right.
And they have good intellect, and the youth also should realize okay, we have that zeal and that power and that ideas, but we don't have the direction. So we need to sit under a person who has lived a life 40-50 years or something. That's why usually people tell कि यार क्या बूढ़ा ज्ञान बांट रहा है या बुढ़ा है भाई उसको क्या पता. he has lived life, so he can give you perspectives. Of course, he shouldn't be dictating your life, but giving you direction. So at least when you do, mistakes and all, you go back to him and ask, and then okay, you can go back to him and tell ke bhai or her ke bhai ye maine mistake kiya hai. So some people take parents as their mentors. That's best
Absolutely,
thing. That's good thing. Otherwise, you take a priest or a maulana. Like at times I talk to maulana and all, or listen to them on podcast and all. Then you realize that you get direction in life, and that's way more important than just enjoying your life as a teenager. Enjoying with a direction, and having the idea ke how are things enjoyed is better. And you can ask them, to people who have lived their youth and life already. They will be able to give you better perspective. And the reason that is, yeah, because they have lived and they know how things go. And the best thing I have seen this is, I try to do this every time. As a teenager, we are at the sweet spot of the life. As the
Yeah.
20s, the teenage, and the 30s are the sweet spot.
Make a break.
Every elder guy wants to become a young guy, and every child wants to become a teenager or an adult.
Yeah.
That sweet spot to enjoy everything, and that's why I think we wouldn't know how it's different. We'll just be living our own life
In the moment, yes.
correct. But when you sit with a child and understand, and then you see their innocence, and you realize where ek time mein aisa tha, and how I have become judgmental or very strict or very stiff, and too much out of love and care as
Yeah.
being an adult and teenage. And then you will be able to understand and like humble yourself a bit, because and he's looking at you, he's imitating you. And then you see your elders who have been through that age, and they share their regrets, they share their experiences, from which you can learn and be like, okay, chalo main ye galti to nahi karunga. I live that I will leave that and do something else, something better. मैं गलती करता हूँ तो इसके बाद क्या होता है.
Yes.
Usually लोग प्यार मोहब्बत में पड़ जाते हैं, and they don't know होता क्या after that.
Yeah.
But once you listen to people who have been there, once you listen to religious, philosophical, and other technical aspects of life, you realize कि भाई ठीक है, मोहब्बत एक चीज होती है, romance एक चीज होती है, everything एक चीज होती है, but there is, what is the future of it? This is one part के relationship, love and all, but usually people in life, they don't think of anything. They just want to enjoy life as a teenager, and I
Right.
believe that it's not going to take you anywhere unless you're not unless you listen to someone who is philosophically strong and who has good ideas and experience. Yeah, that's where I end up telling ke teenager have everything they need, power and everything, zeal, mind, mentality. It's just the direction they need. When
Right.
they realize it and they follow certain people who are respected and experienced, that's why I think you will love your teenager more better.
Mm.
That's what I think. Okay, after that good conversation, so how did you have conversation with your parents? Because I think at this point, again, as we were discussing, there's a lot of miscommunication with parents and misunderstanding. It can range from a bit small to a bit long disagreements and all. What do you think after all this experience, that what things help? You told two things already, which is communication and more importantly time.
Yes.
And after that, what do you think? How do you communicate to your parents better?
Transparency. There comes a point when you stop lying.
When you realize lying से कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, it's better you tell the truth.
Yeah.
And parents see कि बच्चा मेरा बेटा is telling the truth, so the trust is
So when you
built.
start owning up to what you did,
So the trust is built.
yes.
And then how does it mature you to like live abroad? Like आपने बोला कि you understood, you knew things maybe, you have seen things maybe, but once you go and settle abroad, you understand things, you live things.
So again, because you mentioned the word abroad, India is not really abroad to me, right? So it's supposed to be home, but you grow up calling Qatar home.
Yeah.
So essentially, it becomes like
Abroad.
living abroad, going back to India. So the one absolutely essential thing about living in Mumbai is the fast life. Your local trains and your
Let's
people
go.
everywhere.
Yeah, let's go to the Mumbai and Qatar wala difference. But before that, I wanted to know that how mentally it was maturing for you and realizing life. How did it change, and what changes did you observe?
I observed actually that living in India full time is a lot different than the India that I get to see when I go back for vacation for 2 months. So
Yes.
having to do with your daily ka food, right? And then expenses.
Mhm.
Before that, at no point in life were you given a budget on which you have to manage your expenses, which is again
Mhm.
sufficient, but again you can't be wasteful.
Mhm.
So you have that realization at some point. Yeah, you're on your own now because again I have family over there,
Like
which
your
is helpful.
grand family. I mean, grandfather and grandmother.
Uncles and aunts, yes.
Okay, so you live with them.
Yes.
So you don't live in a
Currently,
hostel?
I lived alone for a year before this.
In a hostel?
No,
Bunkers or something?
no, at our own place. So
Acha. And then you are
yeah,
living with
yeah, I shifted
relatives.
because it's easier for food and all of that.
Mm-hmm. And what do you find it's better? Yeah, of course, you'll get your food, and also it's better to stay with people who you know already, right?
Correct, yeah. But also,
Food,
I'm learning how to cook.
food matters a lot. Were you fat
Matters a lot.
a bit? Charles will be able to tell. Was he fat before he went to India? Ah, man, the food has
Fat,
affected
fat.
you.
I was still
I
lean.
can see the neck tells everything.
Oh, still lean.
Like in the beginning, like
During COVID, yes.
COVID. Yeah, but neck tells a lot because you were a fat guy, but you reduced a lot.
Not a fat guy, but
You
I
were
was, yeah,
healthy enough, but Indian food has not Indian
maybe.
food. I would tell quality and everything can be debated along. Again, there's a different story. But coming back to yes, how did you like find the maturity part? Okay, there's differences in culture, and it took your
Yes.
time to adapt.
Very gradual.
Mm-hmm.
And India is again fast moving. So the people are not the same. Because the people are everything that's around you. Your environment are all people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody you interact with, are, that is that one part of your daily routine, right? So the people are very different over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you gradually understand. You know what to expect better.
Achha, so you know how to deal with people. You deal with many people there, first of all.
Especially if I'm being specific, yeah, government offices and things like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you deal with government officials more over there.
Yeah, and because to an extent, before I went there, I had this mentality of, uh, okay, सुना है ऐसा ब्राइब वगैरह देना पड़ता है बट कितना ही क्या ही हो
देखा नहीं
सकता है
था कैसा होता है.
हाँ कैसे ऐसे कैसे कर सकते हैं
You don't
गवर्नमेंट
want to
ऑफिशियल
end up
वर्दी में
anywhere, right? After you go India.
no, that's not an issue.
ये एविडेंस बन सकता है. So yeah, so तो बताइए तो थोड़ा क्या what all you have seen and how it's different. Because right in Qatar में there's something called थोड़ा if you know people.
Pasta, yeah.
Yeah, we call it wasta. If you know people, you get places. But in India,
That
if
is
you
only
know,
one part of it in India.
yes, oh yeah, and if you get money in India, then you get places. That's where about India. In Qatar, money has a second, stage than to.
This is the part that everybody knows, right? So you have people that you know, your
Mhm.
contacts, and you have money. I don't have to explain how bribe works. I don't have to explain how contacts work.
Acha.
One thing I did not expect is language. So now I've
Oh
lived all my life
shit.
here, and I have no clue how to speak Marathi or understand for that matter. When I went back, I can understand a little bit now. So it gives you an advantage. It really gives you an edge with dealing with police officers, dealing with government officials. They treat you differently. They see you differently if you can speak Marathi. And when you see it happen before your eyes, when they look at you and they realize, okay, this kid doesn't know how to speak Marathi, they treat you differently. That's all I'll say.
Shit, that's scary in a way, but I heard of this, never experienced it. You have seen it first, and maybe yeah. So it's important
So
because
in a place where you might get away with paying 500 as bribe, you might have to pay 1,000.
yeah, that's hard. So it helps you knowing Marathi, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
So you have seen that cultural shift, and how was it? Just leaving Qatar and going and settling in India, and how was that life? Like the changing part. Was it easy or it was like, ठीक है कर
It
लेंगे?
was relatively okay actually because I was still around family.
Mm-hmm.
It will be difficult when I move somewhere that's actually abroad and I have
Completely.
nobody.
Mm.
I believe that is the real test.
Mm.
Because in India, I still had family and I used to visit them almost every day. Extended family, yes, but family.
How was it leaving friends?
Friends, yeah, that is a big part of it. Social life went down massively.
Achha, what do you mean by social life went down?
You have well said friendships in Qatar.
Correct. Because
Right.
वो childhood से बने होते हैं ना.
Correct. You know this guy, he lives there, he'll meet you there. You can go play football here, right? Your social environment is very set up and deep rooted because you went to school to a certain place. When you go there, it's a new country. You've only been there for 2 months every year. So even in the area that you live, people only know you as an NRI.
फॉरेनर है भाई, आता है चले जाता है बस.
So then you have to start
Building
approaching people,
friends. Yeah.
which I don't have an issue with. So I made quite a few
You're an
friends.
extrovert.
Yes, I would say so. Again, depends
I
on
could see
with-
that. But I think at times you switch easily to introvert part. Like you stay quiet and you think and all.
Yeah, that has come through
By
with
time.
years.
Okay, so you initially ज़्यादा बात करता था?
Yeah, a lot.
I can see.
No. Actually, before he used to be introvert.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he became extrovert. Pre-COVID.
Acha, there has been a lot of changes. I can see the compilations of it. It's good. I like
Even
it.
with something like public speaking, I used to be very good at it.
Mhm.
And then during COVID, I used to not speak at all when I was at home.
Public speaking and on stage or
On stage, in front
Anywhere,
of people, in
anywhere.
class, I still have that, that personality in me where I'm sort of the representative of the class and the voice of the people.
so you have that
around me.
leadership mentality, or you at least possess a skill.
Yes, but that was never the case at home because I was the bada bacha at home. I was a shant bacha. So because I spent so much time at home those 2 years, that side of me sort of subsided.
Yeah,
I resorted more to typing
yeah.
because
COVID changed
I was
a lot.
writing. During COVID, I started writing.
Yeah, tell me about the blogging journey and how was it? What is it like? Do still people read books or read stuff, man? Really?
Now people's attention spans have gone down.
100%. It's
So-
one thing is attention. One thing is, does it grab the eye?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
On a platform like Instagram, nobody goes there to read. Anymore.
Yeah. Caption read करना अजाब होता है यार. वो भी 30-second caption and you're talking about 30 cap. 10-second caption, no one's ready to read. They just want to scroll it off. Yeah.
And again, see, I wouldn't blame people as such because it is,
The technological changes.
yeah, you have an environment built around you where everything is based on your 30-second reels, short attention span.
Mm-hmm.
So again, nobody gives that much
Interest into that.
emphasis to articles in it.
But okay, then
I
why did you
realized at a
still write?
point and I stopped writing.
Oh shit. Okay, you did stop it.
Yeah, because I don't have that much time
To simply
to watch football matches and watch them analytically. Actually, I lost.
what do you mean by
See, there is one thing where you watch matches as a fan. Yeah,
yeah,
I did that all my life.
entertainment.
Yes,
Fair.
you're not noticing the little things, and you're not noting them on a paper, right?
नहीं भाई नहीं.
Nobody
इतना तो
does
कोई
that
नहीं
as a
करता.
fan.
Yeah.
But when you're expected to write an article,
Closer. अब आराम से बैठो, get it.
when you're expected to write an article about a match,
So you have to write articles
yeah, because I used to
for
post
a website or
or for my Instagram page initially because I didn't want a commitment. I didn't want expectation from an editor, deadlines
Okay.
and all of that. But I had that for a while.
Mhm.
So I decided to step into writing for websites also.
Mhm.
It doesn't make you much money also, but it's fine. It's a good experience.
So Instagram, you just wanted to write for like did that earn you some money or no?
Instagram, no.
Instagram,
Just,
just for
fan
that
following,
hobby,
yeah.
a fan following and all. I think that will grab some people who are keenly into football. They did follow you, I believe for a
Maybe,
while,
I guess.
and then you stopped it.
Yeah, because
Did you learn some skills while writing? Okay, there's
yeah. It's not just the writing part. So I was more or less a content creator. I was doing everything on my own.
Acha.
Editing, and I was keeping up with matches. I was posting analysis on matches. Again, strictly Real Madrid focused, but yes.
So you are a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah,
मेरे को
10 years now.
फुटबॉल के बारे में ज्यादा नहीं पता, so I could ask you more questions about it. But generally इतना जानना है कि what is that craze in the football or in sports? Because the thing is, I understand sports is for health
Mm.
and some energy, entertainment. Yeah,
But why
but
football?
उसके बाद not just why football, but sports में लोग people get mad into it. At a point, I believe it's थोड़ा capitalism which capitalizes.
Absolutely, there is.
अच्छा वो भी aspect जैसे दिखता है
Eh.
वो है. And the
Undoubtedly.
second thing, that's the effect which makes people mad behind it also. Like,
Correct.
acha. So how do you see it from inside, like when you know things?
I saw that fade away. I saw that side, that fanatic side of me fade away when I stopped watching every football match on every weekend and every weekday.
And then you became more of analytical and logical person.
No, that was
Fan
still
part.
before that.
Achha.
So when I started finding less time in my life for football and for entertainment, which there comes a point, right, after you're done with schooling. So then you realize, okay, if I force it now, then you're edging into like craziness. You have to watch every match.
Yeah.
But people do that. People manage it still. I just think I can't manage it. Watching every game, every second of every game.
See, people manage Netflix series and Ertugrul series of hundreds episode and
1500 manga.
mangas and bullshit. So I don't think it's a big deal to bullshit. I might get trolled for it. So I don't believe. I don't get the point of it. There will be. I'll get a manga guy one day, maybe behind the camera. Now we can talk about what the hell that actually is. But yeah, see, sports. I think comparatively it's less worse than those Netflix series and all.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get me? So I think that's fine.
because that is fictional.
Yeah, that's another level. Yeah. So yeah, that's the craze behind it. And then you told you are studying in India for the aviation part, right? You are a student right now of aviation industry or what we call aviation school.
Yeah, you can say.
How did you end up there?
How did I end up there? I'll tell you this. When you go for interviews, not interviews, but just you go to any ground school or flight school and you submit an application for joining. Right? It's not that difficult of a procedure, but everywhere you go and you're sitting in front of a desk and somebody's expected to ask you a question, the first question that comes out of their mouth is, why do you want to become a pilot? This is always just very
Given.
बनना है तो बनना है भाई.
अच्छा बनना है तो बनना है but previously I interviewed a guy. He was like he didn't know it was
also
good.
not my core passion.
अच्छा
I will
ये
concede that.
but yeah core passion नहीं होता एक चीज होती है but if you ask any child in KGs or
Yeah.
small उनको pilot ही बनना होता है because that's the most
There's
fascinating
even
thing.
that. Sorry.
That's the most fascinating thing they have seen in their childhood, and that feels so fascinating. What's up bolte in then later on they grab into something what interests them. Like for example, psychology interests me a lot. I realized it nearly 3-4 years ago that अच्छा मुझे कुछ करना है तो सिर्फ psychology में करना है वरना I won't be able to have good passion into that because I have a motto which I say कि I love reading brains and healing hearts. So that's my passion.
Who said that?
मेरा कोट
No way.
yeah
That's pretty good.
उतना खास नहीं है but
Put
yeah
that down on a t-shirt or something.
yeah I like it. Yeah, Rahman. Oh, Abdurrahman. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, so that's my hobby. I love that. At some point, people will be like, yeah, इतना क्यों खोजता है या पूछता है? Psychologists they do ask you a lot and all. I want to develop a skill where I don't ask much, but I ask subtle questions in which I get the answer. So I would definitely love to explore in that. ठीक है ऐसा हॉबी सबकी होती है differently. So your wasn't core hobby as aviation. So how did you end up? So you wanted to become a footballer first?
Yeah. No, not a footballer. I had a cricket thing back in the day. I was really good at cricket, and then I found football because I was more popular. Nobody was playing cricket in Qatar. So I started playing football. Got decently good at it, and then again at some point you realize you're not made for sports.
Even that guy
scope of opportunities is not.
Yeah.
Again,
and then I think if you're
especially if you're from Asian countries, it's difficult to end up in a football circle.
Population इतना है तो competition की बात अलग है.
And I'd like to mention now, because going back to the Mumbai part or India part, you have to pay for football there for the pitches. That is not culture here, right? You can go and start playing anywhere.
Yes, they do, but not that much. You'll get
it's
pitches
very difficult to find free pitches over there. So, and you have to get a group of people together, contribute.
Oh,
that's difficult for somebody who has no friends over there.
I see, that makes sense. I mean, you have to build that. Right. Not only friends, team, proper team.
Right. And then team to play against.
And then invest in that financially and everything. There, that's a big stress. I see that. Right. But yeah, and then you realized कि मेरे को थोड़ा. When did you realize कि मेरे को pilot बनने में थोड़ा interest है?
After 10th actually, because you had to take a stream, right? Yeah. And then you have to decide
how did you choose, like what were the options, and then you realize that pilot is the best option.
You need physics and maths for commercial pilot.
Okay.
So
I
that
know.
was
When did you realize that pilot is the
after
best
10th.
option? Yeah.
So I was lost. My parents were like, "We'll go to some seminar."
Usual.
It was in some 5-star hotel in the house. I was like, okay.
Acha.
So I decided to go. I had this thought of journalism and sports journalism in my mind,
Mhm.
but it's very difficult to find scope in that field.
If you get there, you get there. But if you don't, it's hard to get there. It's that kind of stuff.
It's like
Yeah.
your top 1% stuff.
Correct.
The
It's
thing
hard to get
he
there.
said in the previous podcast,
Yep.
where if you're becoming something, then try and be the absolute best at it.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So you have to believe that you're okay. I'm going to be part of the top 1 or 5%.
If not, then keep it hobby. Don't bring it in real life.
Yeah, and I
Or-
believe I will
Mhm.
continue writing at some point.
Yeah. That's the hobby and passion. Like for example, for me, even podcasting, I know it's not gonna be a career for me. It can get me some money at some point, but it's not gonna be
No,
career.
agreed.
Psychology is my career actual. So yeah, that having the differentiation is more important. So yeah, then
One
you're
thing actually,
Yeah.
I've had very good friends in the psychology space,
Really?
but and I've been explained this actually once or
Acha,
twice.
so tell me something negative about it.
Not negative. I just
I want to listen. Ask.
I want to ask you the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist.
Oh, yeah, good. Good question. So for the people who want to know this very brilliant question, it's simple. Psychiatry is when you do MBBS and you have that medicine knowledge.
Right.
Psychologists are more towards your mental, on cognitive and therapies,
ठीक है.
counseling and all. You
So
get me?
when I'm sitting in a room with a psychiatrist,
Yeah.
will they not ask me the same questions as a psychologist?
They will do, but they'll deal with it in more
Or they'll
technical
deal
manner.
with it in different ways.
Yeah, it's about dealing. They both will study same. Most of the basics will be same. Like they will understand. And even a psychiatrist can help you at times in dealing with things. He will tell you why you're thinking this way or which chemical is triggering you. That he will first approach in that way. I'm not a perfect student. I'm just student right now. So people might take it on serious. No. So check it out if you really want to. But on a psychologist, he'll ask you that same point, or he'll explain you in a very simple way or in a subtle way without getting too technical, and he'll figure out things without getting too technical as well because he's trained in that way. Psychiatrists are trained to give medicine and treatment and all or in a technical way. But the psychologist, he'll take time with you, make connection, bond, and everything, and then
So like a therapist.
exactly therapist.
Makes sense.
So counselor, you can tell. Mostly psychologist goes towards counseling and all counseling related, and psychiatrists go to medicine related.
Mm.
You get me?
Right. Understood.
Yeah, that's the thing. Psychologists are like usually they're trolled for not being doctors,
Mm.
but yeah, by
It's a
time
big part of the aviation industry these days. It's called
Yeah.
human resources.
exactly. Not only there, what I believe as a psychologist is that there's an IT person in every company to fix the computers when they are broken or how to use them. Exactly that way. When humans are working in a company, you will need a psychologist when they break down to fix up.
They have those in even airlines these days, I think.
Yes, everywhere they have. So people don't understand the scope of psychology. That's why I'm explaining that people think, okay, psychology, only mental patients go there. No, it's for generally anyone who face
Mental
any
health.
issues of mental health or generally anything. They can directly go there and they will, get treatments and way outs. You get
Makes
me?
sense.
And
Yeah.
everywhere it's needed. It's better you have a psychologist
Mm.
because in organization, I told you again, when something goes wrong, you can go and try to figure it out at least, not treat or something, but figure it out. You get me? So psychologists are very much needed nowadays and will be needed in future, more like IT persons. So yeah, talking about
Absolutely.
aviation, then you understood, okay, pilot is something which will suit me,
Yeah.
and then you took it, and then you decided, okay, Qatar mein to nahi ho paega अच्छे से, I'll go to India.
Yeah.
And then
Because even if you look at something like the cadet program in Qatar Airways, yeah,
mm,
I think somebody in your comments asked.
yeah,
So a cadet program is where the airline takes you in as a
Acha.
student pilot. They train you, and then they offer you a LOI, letter of intent. They give you a job.
mhm.
So they assure you a job, but at double the cost it would take you to learn in a flying school. But again, you have a assured job. So
Oh,
people who have the money to go for that, go for that.
अच्छा ऐसे होता है.
Yes.
And what else can you discuss about as an aviation student? Tell me more about few things, goods, bads, and internal things.
Right. So picking up where you left off with health, uh, mental health, it is a big thing now in this time.
Aviation.
Yeah, and this one case came to mind where there was a German wings pilot. He crashed the aircraft into mountains. He locked his captain out of the
Sure.
cockpit and he crashed it because he was mentally unstable. And I think that was about 2009, around that
Yep,
time.
heard something like this.
So
Okay.
they started taking this stuff a lot
Seriously.
seriously. There was another incident back in the 70s, I believe. So
Hmm.
there comes one or two incidents every few years where they have to take it seriously and then they start implementing things.
Sure. Okay. सब कुछ होता है तभी.
Yeah,
Because the thing is, I've seen कि they behave very professionally because they have to.
because they have to. And they look professional.
But a point, yeah,
'Cause they have
and a
to.
point comes where the system breaks down and something will happen. Then again, they build up the
Internally, you
system.
don't know what's going on with
Exactly,
anybody. Be it a
exactly.
pilot.
You know, हमारा flying beast, right?
Yeah.
How much do you follow him?
Not much
Being
actually. He's very
family.
trolled in the. He's trolled a lot in the pilot space because the way he left SpiceJet and all was a bit silly.
He wasn't it that they removed him and then he left.
Yes, but
Did you
also
listen to his podcast and
the clips here and there,
clips?
not
Yeah,
much.
but
Yeah.
listen to his Raj Shamani podcast.
Hmm.
You know the whole thing.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
As
he
a
is.
person, he's
Yeah.
absolutely he's a fan guy. Now
Hmm.
he's pursuing law, I think.
Yeah, he was. Then he left. That also something like that. You can. I don't know what exactly he's doing right now, but huh. But yeah, you get me that. He talked about how things are like. Usually, it's told
Mm.
on the cabin cockpit के door पे. It's kind of written. Leave all your worries and thoughts outside the cockpit. You're going
Yes.
there inside this as a pilot, so you have to forget.
Yes.
And if you don't, then you mess up. You
Yeah.
might. So how you have been into the cockpit yet?
No, not really.
Not really. So you'll get it there in a few months, I believe.
Yes, very soon.
And then how many hours of flying you have to do?
For a commercial pilot license in India, 200
250?
hours. 250 is a requirement in Canada and places like South Africa.
They reduced it, I heard, because it started from 250, then it went to
Yeah, they
200.
reduced it.
Yeah, and I think it's some places 160 also, I heard.
Yeah, I think Philippines. Not sure.
Yep. So where was I? So talking about the aviation and then what are the good parts of it? Like you get to see a lot of different things many people
Mm.
don't see. That's one thing. And
Correct. Your like you said, your office
is
workplace
a
view.
moving office around the world,
Workplace view is great.
which has its perks and what do you call it?
Yeah, because again,
Disadvantages as well.
your time zones they
Yeah.
change very quickly,
Time zone issues.
and then people who are not able to cope with that.
Adapt.
I mean, you have to cope with that
You'll
eventually.
get used to it after a
Mhm.
time. Yep. And then
Biggest disadvantage I would say is that one thing is there's no job guarantee, right? Something like
Sure.
the pandemic comes around,
I think
people
even
start
same
losing their jobs.
oh, okay.
Even senior captains.
So it's more like seasonal because psychologists
Not
have
yeah.
it's hard to get a bit job, like where you'll get job security and all. But once you get, you'll get, and of course, if you are based online, it's easy for us to go online and then get some audience. Not easy initially. You will have to get licensing and this and that. Once you get, you'll get good way. Like anyone can access you everywhere.
Makes sense.
But pilots, it will be hard. Like seasonal, it will be, and where you have to apply issues.
That
and,
is over the years, but generally, if you look at the lives of pilots, yeah, they are very hardly able to give time to their families.
yeah.
And this is even backed by data. Actually, I think some study they said that divorce rates among pilots are high.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're not able to maintain the relationships.
Yes.
Oh, and usually they can't easily cancel flights just because they had a party or a
they can't.
wedding, right?
No.
And usually pilots are not there in these parties and all. Like they have to schedule long back and they have to tell.
Yes.
And I heard it's
So
very
roster
hard.
comes to you, and then
And it's very hard to get your leaves.
even
and
for a student pilot, actually.
really?
So you have a roster, and then you go according to that.
What is a roster?
A roster is basically your timetable. On this
Sure.
day of this week, you're going to be flying in this, especially when you're flying on a controlled aerodrome, where you're flying with other international flights.
Mhm.
In India, this is not the case in most places because the airspaces are very busy. In Mumbai, also, there's no student flying.
Mhm.
But in isolated places, they might be. Again, uncontrolled spaces. where there's no air traffic control. You just fly at your own discretion with your instructor.
I mean, so you'll get schedule and all. You have to adapt
The
yourself
flying
into
school
it.
gives you that. Yes.
It's not easy. And then after you entered any airways, you have to follow their schedule. And I
Yeah.
see it's a tough job also. After and now I understand why it has a mental toll. I usually
The
don't.
flexibility is not always good, right? You
Yeah.
need that. You need some level of stability.
Strictness and routine. Some
Yes.
perfect routine helps you a lot.
People say that about their monotonous lives. So my life is so monotonous.
Yeah, but
But
us
then-
pilots, they'll tell you why it's good.
I not really want to speak because I'm only getting started. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because I have spoken to already experienced person. Yeah, he was talking about this. It has it. Every field I think has their own perks and disadvantages.
again, when I mentioned job, one thing slipped out of my mind. You have to know people to get into jobs. Sometimes
Okay. Yeah, you do.
I don't know what the percentage is. Right? You go to your interviews. The airline even charges you for that in India these days.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You charge for your own interview.
Yes.
That's amazing.
For your exam that you're attempting, your entrance exam.
Yeah. Okay, that's one
So
thing.
they do that, and so you've got to have connections, right? If you have somebody in your family who's a pilot, then it is 75% of your job work is done. How am I going to look for a job? You don't have to think of it. It's just the first step along
Yeah,
the way. But
usually it's that.
I remember I went to Bangalore for a medical, and I was a senior pilot over there. And while you wait in the waiting area, they're discussing things. There's Air Force pilots and airline pilots, student pilots still sitting separately. But I was sitting with the airline pilots because I wanted to talk to them. And one senior pilot asked me, "बेटा आपकी फैमिली में कौन पायलट है?"
Okay.
मैंने बोला अंकल कोई नहीं, तो आप क्यों बन रहे हो पायलट?
सीधा
And I was confused.
क्या
कि ये
मतलब?
सच में बोल रहा है कि मतलब is he being funny with me?
Oh, okay, I realize. That's sad, man.
Yeah, that is a bit sad.
A bit sad, yeah. And then those are the negatives you can tell. I see. And how do you deal with productivity and learning and other stuff?
Learning
Productivity.
is different.
Acha.
Studying is different. Learning is
Acha.
happening every step along the way, right?
Yeah, that's a
Experience, new
philosophical statement.
experiences.
Talk
Even
about.
on my way here from home, I was speaking to the Uber driver. He
Yeah.
had his own
Okay, you do
stories.
that? You do that?
I do that a lot actually.
Yeah, it's usually
So
good.
every time we are outside,
Yeah.
I'm always in the front seat. I'm
Oh,
talking to
front
the-
seat. I don't go front seat. I mean, every time. But
Again. So you speak to the Uber driver. He tells you about his life. He asks you about his life. That is learning also.
100%.
Constant learning. And studying is different. Studying it aligns more with productivity, right? How much you're
Yeah.
able to get done every day. How many hours you're able to put in. So when it comes to aviation, it's a bit of both experiences and your bookish knowledge.
Yeah, so how do you manage the bookish and the productivity or the studying part? How do you do that? Because it's not easy usually.
You just got to get done with it.
Acha, so productivity
And the
equal
thing is, it never ends. Right now, I'm almost done with my exams, and right after my exams, I had this thought, okay, ये तो हो गया ना अभी.
नहीं.
नहीं. इसके बाद there's more, because once you're done with your CPL at 21 years of age, you're eligible to get an ATPL, Airline Transport Pilot
What
License.
is CPL?
CPL is Commercial Pilot License.
Acha.
Right.
And APL is?
ATPL is your basically your captain बनने का license. Right?
Acha.
Which you need a lot of hours for, 1500 I believe. So you accumulate that many hours in the airline.
1500, that 200 is counted or no?
Yes, it's counted.
Acha, ठीक है.
Flying hours is flying hours, regardless of where you fly.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and after that, you get into what do you call? When you get into studying, how do you get that study mode on?
Studying mode on.
Or is it that passion है तो अभी चलो पढ़ लेंगे या
नहीं वो हमेशा नहीं करता यार काम, because
कभी नहीं
motivation is not constant. I don't.
So passion
I don't
gives you
believe in that
motivation,
mode.
and motivation is not stayed for long. So you have to
Motivation
study
हमेशा
it.
नहीं रहता ना यार. एक दिन हफ्ते में तुम एक दिन उठ के बोल रहे हो हाँ मेरे को बहुत बड़ा motivated लग रहा है आज पढ़ने के लिए, आज तो मैं पढ़ूंगा ही. But it doesn't happen the rest of the 6 days. So
Yeah.
that only comes with discipline. I believe more in discipline. I'm not
100%. No, you believe or no, you have to come into this
Correct,
realization कि motivation थोड़ा मीठी मीठी बात है.
yes.
Actual reality is
Correct.
discipline
That is the only way you can get done
with things.
every day.
Correct.
So regardless of
So how
whether or not
do
you're feeling it.
And I think discipline doesn't need any explanation or talking. It's just you have to do,
You have to do.
and then you will get to it one day. So
And
yeah,
again, take it from me. These are only words. I'm not perfect.
yep.
I struggle with my studies. I struggle
Again,
with my productivity.
correct.
I uh, also don't get things done every day. So it's fine.
Yeah, you take time and then you realize
There's
you.
ups and downs. Yeah.
I think it's mainly you plan
Mm.
100 times, you fail 200 times, and then you realize okay what works, and the 300th time you figure out what's the balance.
Pretty much.
Right. I think that's very important, which people don't think. And again, we talked to this about this to a different friend, and again, talking wouldn't help, but still, let me say it. They are characteristics or habits which we can talk, won't come. Like sabr ho gaya, like patience, discipline, and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
It's only gonna come when you actually start practicing it.
Yeah.
Really. On that philosophical note, I would like to end. Would you like to tell something before we end?
Yeah. I mean, I think we had a fruitful discussion
Discussion.
about everything that is going on with my life lately.
And yeah, because you have been our guest, so next time if we get a conversation again, let's see where
Yeah,
it
why
goes.
not?
Okay. Thank you for coming, and meet again later.